It's garage time again. I'm Justin.
And I am Aaron.
And this is Husman Bros. And before we go too much further and tour this race car driver's garage, I want you to subscribe for more great content like this. Race car driver's garage.
Sounds pretty cool.
That does sound pretty cool. You've actually been here before.
I've been here a lot. Yeah.
Right. And actually you guys have been here before too, because this is where we filmed the Meet the Drivers event, and the race car driver we're actually going to tour today is Jack Griffin's garage.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a lot of amazing cars, from very old to very new.
Right. Let's go inside and check out what we have to see. Pretty nice.
Done some nice things with the place.
Hey, Jack.
Justin, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Couldn't be better. Great to see
Excellent.
you.
Thanks for having us, Jack.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Everything good?
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm here. Well, I'm around cars all day, so can't be bad, right?
What a deal. What a deal.
You bet.
Hanging out in the garage.
That's the way you do it. So we brought our audience today to check out your garage.
Fantastic.
So
That's great.
if you don't mind, we're going to get started doing that, and we'll come back and talk to you in just a moment.
Perfect. That sounds good.
I'm going to let you go over the one that's most like ours.
All right, yeah, we can talk about this. I can definitely talk about this car because I have one very similar to this one. This is a 997.2 coupe. This is a 2011, and this is Jack's daily driver. Now, this is also the first of his water-cooled Porsches. Before that, it was all air-cooled for him. And this is his daily driver, you can tell, because of all of the bugs down here on the front end and on the mirrors as well. I mean, if you got this many cars, you gotta do either a lot of cleaning or you gotta get zen about not cleaning so much. So you definitely need a car. You don't always have to be out in the driveway scrubbing away, cleaning it up, that you could just get in and drive. And I tell you, there's no better car to be able to just jump in and drive than a 911. So this is also a stick, which is fantastic. That is a ton of fun. So I believe all of Jack's are a manual transmission. And so this is fantastic. That's a little different than ours. We do have the automatic with the PDK. And so really cool. This one's got the stick. This 997.2, this is the last of the small bodied 911s. They got bigger beyond this. So it's really important to have one of these small bodies in your collection, especially when you can get the last generation of the small body. So that's what's really cool about this one here. And I'll toss it over to Justin, who can talk turbos.
So this is Jack's 2001 996 Turbo. And this is not just a normal turbo. Now, I know that his 997 was his first water-cooled, and this is also water-cooled, but it came later because it came up at a time when it was coming from one of the owners he's known. Four-owner car, Jack's known every owner, and this thing is a hot rod. It's got bigger turbos, it's got a performance exhaust, all the goodies that you would need, and it's got some special wheels on it. These 996s are starting to be noticed. For a long time, they were the dog of the 911 world. Nobody wanted them. I've always liked the style of them, and I think this is a super cool car, especially because it's so fast. Although, it's very fast, and it's kind of sad that it's only got 26,000 miles on it. Now, Jack has a lot of cars, as you'll soon see, so I'll give him a pass on this one. So I'm going to pass it over to Aaron, who's going to talk about this GT3.
You're wrong. This is not a GT3. There's no wing.
You'd better go do your research and then come back and talk about this car.
Okay, let's not call Justin a brainiac that he knew this was a GT3 because there is a sign right here. So this GT3 does not have a wing, which is pretty unique for a GT3 because, as you know from drooling over them all the time, they have really great wings on the back. But in 2018, Porsche made 720 GT3s with no wing for the North American market. They called it the GT3 Touring. This car has a 4-liter flat 6, pushes over 500 horsepower at nearly 9,000 RPM. So this thing is crazy fast, great looking car. This is graphite blue. And 2018 was the last year that Porsche put this color on their cars. And they only made about 20 in this color in 2018. So this is a really rare car, great looking car, got carbon fiber here on the mirrors, super slick over here, nice center lock wheels, which we love, of course. Just a fantastic car, and of course this is the next generation. You can tell this is a bigger car than the 996 or the 997. Great looking 911 here. So fantastic Porsche here. And Justin, I know you know a lot about Porsches, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. Tell us about this Audi.
I know a lot about everything. So this is a 2013 Audi TT RS. This is the last year of the manual transmission. Jack describes it as a very fast car. I love these Audis. This one looks white, but it's a little bit off-white. It's a really, really cool looking car. And one of the most fun things about this car for me is that I remember when Jack got it and it was an impulse purchase on Bring a Trailer. So that's all of the modern cars. Now we're gonna go back in time to the past. We're gonna start with Jack's first Porsche. Now this is a 1970 914 6. This is a very rare car. They built a lot of 914s with a 4-cylinder. They built 3,000 of these with the 6-cylinder 911 motor in it. And then this one, even more, is special. As I told you at the beginning of the video, Jack is a race car driver, and he had a motor built for this that has double the horsepower the original had in it. It's about a 200 horsepower car, and this car weighs around 2,000 pounds. It's a little rocket. Now, I'll let Aaron play in the past as well and pass off this incredible speedster to him.
Yes, I am the 80s child, so I will review the 80s car. And what we have here is a 1989 Porsche Speedster. Yes, it looks a lot like a 911 because it kind of is. And really, this car was made to replicate the Speedsters of the 50s. When Porsche became wildly popular. It's in Guards Red. It's got the 3.2 Carrera motor in it. Of course, it's stick. And this is an incredibly rare car. In 1989, they made the Speedster, and they only made 823 of them for the North American market. And Jack got one brand new. This thing has 14,000 original miles on the car now in 2022. So very, very low mileage car, but Jack didn't get this one without a fight. These cars were actually sold out when he went to go get one. And so he had to make a call. He called Dr. Porsche himself, and Dr. Porsche put in the order and made it known that Jack Griffin was getting a 1989 Speedster. And so that's how you get a unique and rare car like this, brand new. Justin, do you have those kind of connections?
I do, because I know Jack Griffin. So speaking of cars from the 50s, that's what this is. This is a 1955 Porsche 356. Now this car is an outlaw. This is not exactly as you would have gotten it from the factory. And what an outlaw Porsche is, it's a Porsche that you build to your specifications, the way you would have built it from the factory to use it the way you want to use it. And this one is an outlaw because it's set up like a 1950s race car. We've got the in-hood fuel filler and a couple other things to it. The motor is also tweaked. It's got a better transmission in it. Originally out of factory, these cars were putting out about 55 horsepower. This one with the built motor and everything he's got going on is doing about 120 horsepower. So it's a fast little car, and I've driven behind him. It certainly is. Now here's one of the interesting things about this car. As you see, a couple interesting things actually. Let me back up. First, this is a factory sunroof car, which is a very rare option for these cars. Not many sunroofs in the 1950s, and not many sunroofs on Porsches in the 1950s, that was for sure. And then if you look on the fender here, this is labeled as a Continental. When Max Husman imported these in the United States, he thought that they wouldn't sell without a name, and Porsches always have numbers at 356. So he came up with the name Continental, put the badges on the side of the cars that he was importing, and did it until Ford told him to stop. Now here's what makes this car the rarest is Rod Emery is the guy who kind of coined the term 356 outlaw, and he actually badged this car. You can't buy this badge. Rod has blessed this car. Rod's the king of the outlaws. This car might be the best outlaw I've ever seen. Now, I see this car over here just says Carrera on it. Aaron, how can you make a car like that spicy?
You know, it's not the car that makes it so spicy, it's the driver that makes it spicy. And as you can see from this window here, this car has some miles on it. This car has run the Hill Country Rally in Austin all the time. You can see all the stickers from it because Jack is one of the founders of the Hill Country Rally in Austin, which is fantastic. So right here we have an 85 911 Carrera. This one is stick as well. It's in the same Guards Red. It's the same color as the 89 Speedster, but if you're looking at the video, you might see a little bit of difference in the tint of the red, and that's only because this one has had more exposure to sunlight because it's got far more than 14,000 miles on it. But a really cool looking car. So I think for most people, this is the quintessential Porsche. It's got the big bug eyes on it. It's Guards Red. This is the car that I had hanging on my wall when I was a kid. And so I think it's just a fantastic example of that. And Jack loves this one because you could just get in and drive it. It's no muss, no fuss. These 80s 911s are bulletproof. You take care of your maintenance, they're gonna go for a long time. This one is still going and it's in great shape. It's a really tight car. I love the gold BBS wheels on here. They're period correct. They're awesome. They look great for the era. Jack actually had these on a 930, and he sold the 930 and he kept the wheels and put them on this car, and I think they look fantastic on it. So like I said, this car has been in the Hill Country Rally a lot. It's got all the stickers on it, so it's a really good look for this car. All right, so we've taken a look at some of the cars in here, and we're not here just for the cars. We love the cars, certainly, but really want to give you a glimpse of what these garages are like. And garages are kind of like museums. They're just evolving over time. I think you'd struggle to find any car guy's garage that has looked the same for the last 30 years. They all change over time. And certainly we've seen some and seen the decor, so I want to show you around Jack's a little bit. So of course, you know, as a car guy, you end up accumulating cars. As you can see, Jack has accumulated quite a few cars over time, but not just cars you can drive, little cars too that you can display, models. They just show up. It's like you're a magnet for this kind of stuff. So here we've got some of Jack's models. Of course, you've got to have models of the car that you actually own. It's really important. Jack doesn't have a convertible 996, or sorry, this is a Boxster here, and you know, Jack, I don't know that he'd be caught dead in a Boxster per se, but here's one so that he can say he has a Boxster, you know? Of course, we've got some cool vintage signage over here. Now, when I first met Jack, he was actually the Griots representative for the area. And I don't believe he does a whole lot of that anymore, but he has installed himself a washing station so that he can get his cars clean, which is ironic because I rarely see Jack washing his cars. I don't know if I've ever seen him actually wash a car, but he's at least prepared for it. All the tools are right here for him. All right, so that is a little bit, but I still don't think you know Jack. So Justin, why don't you help the audience out and help them get to know Jack a little bit more?
Yeah, we'll do a little sit down with Jack now and talk with him for a minute. He's the guy who came up with the garage concept, and then we'll tour the rest of the garage. Now we're gonna get to know Jack a little bit more. You've gotten a little bit of what he likes from cars and what he likes in his garage, at least today. And so now we're gonna talk a little bit to him and get to know Jack a little better. So Jack, thanks for having us over again. You've been really generous with your garage, both with giving talks here and letting us host events, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, that's one of the fun things about this project, the community, and that is sharing your cars, your garage, and we've known each other a long time,
Right.
long before I was involved in the garage business.
Right.
And so it's great, you know, and as you know, I mean, you're welcome to use my garage anytime. It's fun. It's fun.
It is fun. So let's talk about the garage then a little bit. I know this is your brainchild. Tell me how this came to be. I mean, it's a great idea. It's fantastic. Explain it to me.
Well, a number of years ago, probably 12 or 15 years ago, I realized that at the time I lived in Dallas, had a very large garage at my home, 3,000 foot garage that was connected to my house, and I had 16 Porsches, and I loved the cars, but it was lonely. I was there by myself.
Right.
And so I realized that, you know, the great thing about having certain things is sharing it with other people. Some people might call it showing off, but we prefer to call it sharing, okay?
Right.
So I realized that the most fun is actually having people over and enjoying, you know, the social part of it. And I realized that what the hobby needed was a place to do the hobby. Golfers have country clubs, tennis players have tennis clubs, boaters have marinas, you know, to introduce the social part of it. So I thought, you know what? That's the one thing missing in this hobby is a place to actually do the hobby. First project was 2014, and our first project was in Plano. And so we had stayed in touch between 2008 and 2014, but in 2014, Fred called me and said, hey, it's time to do our deal. So we built 70 garages in Plano, various sizes, and we didn't know, Fred was not being a car guy. He was like, oh man, I'm kind of nervous about this.
Right.
And I said, Fred, don't worry, you know, we'll get them sold. And so as it turned out, because I'm very involved in the car world, probably half the garages were sold to my friends, you know, and I actually bought two myself over
Right.
there in Plano. We actually sold all of the garages before construction was even finished. And that's pretty unheard of with any real estate concept. We said, you know what, I think we're onto something. So we went from there, building a project in Dallas, and then Allen, and then Frisco, Roanoke, and then Carrollton. It's evolved from an idea that I had, and Fred sort of saw somewhat of the same idea in Colorado. And a few people around the country have done these kinds of projects, but no one has done this number of projects. So we're the only ones that have really scaled and are really doing it on an expanded basis and so forth, which also means that our thinking has evolved. Every project is a little bit different. They're all good projects, but they've evolved to various amenities and so forth. And now they're all air conditioned and heated. They all have they're sprinklered. They have mezzanines. This has become a lifestyle. It's not real estate, it's a lifestyle. And the very same thing is like the car hobby, it's a lifestyle. Now, I'm in my garage every day, 7 days a week. Right. So it's fun.
Are there any, sorry, you guys are in Texas now. Any other projects planned outside of Texas yet? Are you expanding at all or thinking about it?
We are. We're always thinking about different concepts, different ideas, and we have a great team. Fred's son, Sean, is on the team. He's been on the team from the beginning. And Mark Scott, another great guy. Mark and Sean and I, and Fred, we're sort of the Dallas team. Mm-hmm. And then we have guys in Houston and Austin as well that sell garages. But our team in Dallas, Mark, Sean, Fred, and I, we meet once a week talking about what can we do next.
So you mentioned your age. You've obviously had some success. So I think one of the things that our viewers would like to know is, how did you get here? Do you have any advice for someone so they can end up here?
You know, Justin, I've thought about that a lot because I was never really exposed to very many professional type people, you know. And so various things happened, okay? Most of which I could say was totally unplanned by me. A lot of things have just sort of fallen in my lap, but in order for them to fall in my lap, I had to show up to receive them, okay? So I always tell people, if you show up, you give fate a chance to happen. If there's an event to go to, if there's a person to meet, if there's something that's kind of curious or whatever, show up and sort of check it out, you know, and you never know what might happen. Most of the things that have happened to me happened because I showed up, I was curious, and I was open to exploring, you know, and it just happened. I was at a party and met a guy who invited me to a race, and he invited me to drive in the next race, which happened to be the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the biggest races in the world. And I never really thought about the fact of I shouldn't do that or I can't do that. And I'm a pretty confident guy, mm-hmm. and very competitive. If someone says I can't do it, or if there's a feeling that I can't do something, that gives me motivation to do it. So I have a lot of things to be thankful for. The car hobby is the big part of my life, though.
Sure. I mean, I see you a couple times a week, you know, and not just here, but out and about. So. Yeah. So I've heard a rumor about you, and I want you to confirm or deny it for me. Is it true that you have never cooked a meal for yourself?
You know, that is a true story, and it's not one that I'm particularly proud of. I'm kind of embarrassed the fact that I've never cracked an egg in my life. I'm going to have to do it someday just to see what it's like. You know, I'm not into cooking. I love food, but it's just never interested me to cook a meal.
Talking about things that interest you, you have a lot of Porsches here. Is there one that you're trying to get right now? Is there another one on the menu, we'll say?
You know, I've never had a Cayman, and I think Caymans are great. Now, the 914 that I have is a mid-engine car, like the Cayman is also mid-engine, and the last thing I need is another car, but a Cayman GT4 RS. Oh my gosh, I saw one recently, and I wish I had not seen it, because now I have to have one some way.
Can't you just call someone in the Porsche family and have them get you on the list?
You know, I wish. Now, the days of being in touch with Dr. Porsche, unfortunately, since he passed away in the late 80s, I don't have that kind of connection, but I'm trying any connection that I can have. I'm trying to find one.
So, audience, if you can help this poor man find this car, leave a comment down below. Now, thank you for your time, Jack. We'll come back to you because actually the two cars that we have to look at, one of them is one of my favorite cars that you own. So we'll come back to that in a minute.
Yes.
We're going to go check out some more parts of the garage here, and we'll run into you again.
Awesome.
Pretty big place, but not that big. So
Great.
We'll get started walking around. I think Aaron's going to take us upstairs.
All right, now as we mentioned, when you're a car guy, cars just kind of accumulate. And as you can see, like these cars, we walked in today, there was nothing on this case. And so these have just accumulated since we've been over here. I want to show a cool picture off as well. So here we've got a picture of a Porsche, of course. And what's unique about this car is this was actually Evel Knievel's car. And so Jack actually ended up with a picture of it with it signed, and it reads, "To Jack, happy landings, Evel Knievel." Nice cool piece of memorabilia here. I want to show off a little bit of the architecture of the garage. Jack put in these stairs. These are fantastic, you know, really heavy gauge steel, and you could see the Porsche emblems right in the middle of them. Nice diamond plate steel on the steps here. And then we've got one piece of art that you know, I'm very jealous of. This is really cool. There's these huge walls that you've got. In our garage is blank. But Jack's has a giant piece of art, and really this piece is cool enough on its own if anybody had this hanging in their garage, but it's extra special and it's extra cool being in Jack's garage because that's actually Jack in a picture of him from his race suit from the 24-hour Le Mans, standing in front of a Rondo Cosworth, which is the car that he drove in the 24-hour Le Mans. So a really cool piece. He actually had an artist take a model of his Rondo that he had and a picture of himself standing in front of one of the cars that he raced. And he basically was able to take the image of Jack out and put it on top of the Rondo and make this giant piece. It's made on heavy gauge steel as well. Very cool, big, giant piece here. So as you know from seeing some of these videos, these garages have mezzanines, and that's where everybody makes their sort of living area or lounge area. So they're all a little bit different. So let's go upstairs and see what Jack's mezzanine looks like. All right, and at the top of the stairs, we have a vintage race suit. As you would imagine, this is Jack's suit from when he ran the 24-hour Le Mans. And so here we are up in the upstairs area, and of course, when I get to the top of the stairs, I always stop and look back over the whole garage so you can get the bird's eye view of everything at the bottom here. And as I look down, I see Justin dangerously playing pickleball near a couple of the cars. And the reason he's doing that is because Jack's plan is actually to turn the floor of his garage into a pickleball court. Jack's been playing a lot of pickleball, and so he loves it as a sport. He's an old tennis player, so it's a nice, easy transition to pickleball being a popular sport these days. But the court for a pickleball court is 20 feet wide by 44 feet long, and that's almost exactly the kind of space that Jack has downstairs. So he can move all of his cars out, he can put a net up in the middle of his garage, and he can have a pickleball game with a few of his close friends. We're up here in the mezzanine area, and of course we've got a nice little sitting area, couch here. And then Jack is hanging out over there next to all of his trophies, and we're going to talk a little bit more about those, because Jack, I got to say, that's a lot of trophies for one man.
Well, the thing about it is, Aaron, a proper garage is never finished, okay? It's always evolving. You know, you always think of something else to have, whatever. This is sort of my lifetime of things that I've done, okay? Mm-hmm. These are mostly my tennis awards. Played in tennis tournaments all my life, all over the country, some out of the country and so forth. Your home, you want sort of outfitted like Architectural Digest. These kinds of personal things, you know, maybe not be appropriate at home, but in a garage, hey, it's great, you know. The more personal things, the better. So, you know, this is sort of my tennis area, and these are, you know, car shows, motorsports, things like that. That's a picture. That's a picture actually of my first year at Le Mans. That is 1984. The big picture on the wall is 1985. Several is the Heights Church. They had a very big car show for a number of years, and I was fortunate to win Best of Show one year and got the big trophy.
For the Continental one.
Yeah, and it wouldn't fit in my car. I had to open the sunroof to let it stick up through the sunroof, you know?
Yeah, so a lot of cool trophies over here. And as we mentioned, Jack did race in the 24-hour Le Mans. But what we didn't mention is that he actually came back with a trophy. And here it is. right here. So this is Jack's trophy from the 24-hour Le Mans. Not exactly for racing, but he did win. There's a tennis tournament amongst the drivers, and Jack won the entire tournament and came home with the first place trophy. So here is Jack's trophy from Le Mans. Now this one is really cool. I like this. Is that a Hublot? It is. Now is that a trophy or is that just a clock?
Well, I tell you, they're at the Boardwalk Ferrari dealership. They have a car show that they've done for, oh gosh, 15 years.
The Boardwalk Concorso.
The Concorso.
Yeah.
Now, at one time, that was open to cars other than Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
Okay. German cars, English cars, or even American cars. One year, I happened to win Best of Show in their car show, the Ferrari car show. And that was the award that I received. That was a Hublot, a very expensive desk clock by Hublot,
yeah.
Okay, for the Best of Show at the Ferrari car show in my Porsche. The next year that they had the show, only Ferraris were allowed.
Yeah.
Funny how that worked out.
So I find it very interesting that you won a Swiss watch at an Italian car show for a German car. As we're upstairs in the mezzanine, no garage is complete without its bar, and Jack's got a fantastic one over here. I really love this bar. This looks like maybe one piece of furniture that you ended up with somehow. Is that what I'm seeing? Am I seeing that correctly?
That's correct. I actually, when I lived in Dallas, I had a large game room that had, this bar was in the game room. When I sold the house, I moved the bar out of the game room, and it became part of the garage. It was a challenge getting it up here. It required using a forklift to raise it up to the mezzanine level. It was before the handrail was installed. So this is going to be part of the garage forever.
And this will be sold with the garage if it ever has to go.
In the garage, yeah. This is, I don't know the history of this bar, but it's very old.
So then you bought it when you were in your old house, or did it come in the old house? Oh, it came in the old house. Okay,
Yeah,
and you just extracted it somehow,
Exactly.
huh? It's very cool, and like we said, garages are always evolving and never quite finished. So this bar is really cool, one of the coolest that I've seen. I hope you'll invite us back when it is finished. All right, so we are standing in two garages that have been combined as one, but Jack is the garage mogul, and so he didn't just stop at having two garages. He has a working garage too, because you have the nice place where everything is and is displayed, and then you got the other place where you can do a little bit of work and get a little bit messy. And that garage has one of Justin's favorite cars in it, so he's going to take you over to that garage and show you what it's all about.
So we're going to head to Jack's other garage, but before we do, I want to point out his door hardware, and we'll get some of the hardware downstairs as well. Up here we've got pistons, downstairs we have cams. It's the little touches that make everything about these garages so neat. Everyone is a little different. Everybody invests their energy in ways to make it look their own. We've been teasing it the whole video, and kudos to you if you waited this long because you care this much, but this is actually one of my favorite cars of Jack's, but really altogether. I love these old Mercedes. They just scream class to me. And this is an 84 turbo diesel. This actually belonged to Jack's mother. It was a Christmas present one year, and he's hung on to it. And that really speaks to me because I love hanging on to heritage stuff. Go watch our garage to learn about it. This isn't the only family car in the garage though. So this is the second family car in here, and this is Jack's brother's 99 BMW M3. And I watched this car go from needing some work finish to it to what it sits like now. This is a beautiful car. I like BMWs well enough. Most of them don't do a whole lot for me, but I really love this one. This is, I think, the best M3, just a really great car, and I'm a convertible kind of guy. Now, if you look next to me, we've had kind of a theme in all these cars. It seems they've all been German, and here we have an Italian car. I once had a friend who asked me to store a box of old Playboys in my attic for nearly 2 years, and I did it because I'm a friend like that. Jack obviously has a different class of friends because this belongs to a mutual friend of ours. This is our friend Matt's Ferrari, and I'll pass it over to Aaron, who is a Ferrari guy, to tell you a little bit more about it.
All right, what we have here is a 2012 Ferrari FF. This one is wrapped in a flat black. I think it's a black car underneath as best I can tell. The owner is not here for me to ask a whole lot about it, so all we can do is really check it out from the outside. But it's got the beautiful tan Ferrari leather on the inside, and I really think it's a great look for the car. One thing that's unique that I don't see a whole lot of is he switched out the center caps. He's got the red Ferrari center caps instead of the typical yellow with the black horse on them. So a really cool black and red car, you know, great looking FF here. Big V12 engine this one, so certainly it's a Ferrari. It goes fast, it puts out a lot of power. And we've got just the black car side of the garage over here. Over here, we have what looks to be another 997. This one in basalt black. This is a Carrera S. Got the black wheels on the black car. Really good look for it. Triple black, black interior, black wheels, black car. And I really like this basalt black. If you could see it out in the sun, you can see it really pops off. I actually just picked up a 996 and it's got the same basalt black color to it. So really cool looking car. And just got the intel. This is actually a 2009 911 Carrera S. This is an unfinished garage, truly just used for the storage of cars. And this is what the garages look like when they're brand new. You saw ours, but we don't have steps. So this is the steps that come with the garage when you purchase it. This gets you up to the mezzanine. As you can see, it has a handrail just for safety's sake, but I would not recommend leaning on it or holding it very hard if you have poor balance skills. Please do not attempt to scale these steps until they're properly finished out. But this is what it looks like. It's completely open. Lots of hardwood or plywood here, and just unfinished walls, just big open space here. Empty garage. It's a blank canvas for you to do with what you wish.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine all those garages that we've seen thus far started out this way, but I know when we bought ours, it was a what are we going to do situation.
Yeah, like I said, it's a blank canvas. You can paint on it however you wish, and hopefully these videos show you a little bit of different tastes for different people.
So now that we've seen these, you know, do you have a favorite?
It's really tough to say. I mean, how can you not like Glenn's garage?
I mean, that's
tons
true.
of space, tons of Porsches.
Motorcycles and the whole
I mean, all the classic Harleys.
Yeah, I mean, Glenn's is something else. But I got to say, Jack's is pretty fantastic too. I mean, how can you not like that rainbow bag of Porsches he's got in that thing?
I mean, but really, you don't even need cars in a garage. The one that we saw that was empty.
I mean,
it's
an elevator.
amazing. You know,
how baller is it to say your garage has an elevator? You know,
Exactly.
I do though. I mean, I would have to say maybe I like ours the best. Maybe. I mean, it's a great garage.
of course, it's where we feel most comfortable. It's where we have the most access. Certainly.
Designed it to my taste.
What about James's? I mean,
Yeah.
you got Rolls, you got Ferrari, you got McLaren, you got, you know, I mean, come on, look at that shower that was in that one.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's tough. I guess we need to see some more to really figure out who has the best garage.
Yeah. Well, I hope you'll follow along with us and come check out these garages. Leave a comment below. If you haven't checked out the rest of our garage videos, make sure you have done that, but then let us know which one is really your flavor.
And if you've got a garage that you think we should show off, leave a comment. Let us know. We'd love to do that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more of this, and thank you so much.
See you next time.